Welcome back to the next session of Design of Pre-Stressed Concrete Elements course. So from the last session, we were discussing module number 3, that is Design of Sections for Flexure. In that, from the last 3 sessions, we have been discussing the analysis of members at ultimate strength. So let me move on to the next session from today, that is preliminary and final design for type 1 members. Okay, so let me go ahead with the design of type 1 members under flexure. So let me go ahead. So after coming to know about the analysis of members at ultimate strength, preferably under flexure. Okay, so we have been calculated the moment of resistance for rectangular section, flanged sections, okay, considerably under flexure. So with these things, let me move on to the next topic from today's session, that is design of the type 1 member, in particular preliminary and final design member, that is in particular type 1 members under flexure. So now, before going to the design aspects, that is type 1 member design aspects, let me know first what is type 1, what is type 2, and what is type 3 and all. Okay, so without knowing what is the type 1 member, so we cannot proceed directly to the design. So hence, let me go ahead with the what is the meaning of type 1 member and what exactly the design steps or process we are going to do under flexure. So all those things we are going to discuss in this particular session. So let me start design of type 1 members under flexure. The code IS 1343, both 1980 and 2012, defines three type of pre-stress member. That is type 1. Type 1 indicates a PSC member, or in this type of PSC member, no tensile stresses is allowed in concrete, both are a transfer or under service load. Whether it is transfer condition or under service condition, if no tensile stresses are allowed in the concrete, then it is called type 1 member. So next, what is type 2 member? So in this member, tensile stresses, okay, whatever the tensile stresses that will be developed is within the cracking stresses of a concrete. That means it may initiate the crack, but those crack will be in a certain limit. So that is called within the cracking stress of a concrete. Next, type 3 member, here the tensile stress will be developed in such a way that crack width, whatever it will be developed, is within the allowable limit. So these are the three different types of member you are going to come across, but mainly I am going to deal with the design of type 1 members. So the definitions clearly specifies what is type 1, what is type 2, and type 3. That is, type 1 means the no tensile stress, means entirely zero, completely the PSC member is not, okay, going to nullify the tensile stresses developed due to the external loads or a pre-stressing force. Okay, so that is regarding the type 1. Type 2 is the tensile stresses will be developed, but it will be within the cracking stresses of a concrete. So that is type 2. Next, type 3, here the tensile stresses will be developed. That means the crack width will be initiated. The crack will occur, but those cracks, whatever it will be developed, okay, if you're going to come across those cracks will be within the allowable limit or permissible limit. So that is called type 3 members. So this is the difference between type 1, type 2, and type 3. Okay, so in this connection, I am also going to discuss in the code book IS 1343 2000 what exactly the code says. Okay, so let me know that. So let me go with the codes. So now I've gone with the page number 29, IS 1343 2012. Section 4, structural design, limit state method. Structural 4, section 4, structural design, limit state method. So here, the mainly these aspects will come across in the limit state of serviceability. So please keep this in mind. Type 1, type 2, type 3 aspects will come in limit state of serviceability. That means in the cracking part. Okay. So you can see here, okay, that is class 20.3.2, page number 29. Okay, that clearly specifies what is the meaning of type 1, type 2, and type 3. So it says class 20.3.2, that is limit state of serviceability under cracking. Cracking of concrete shall not affect the appearance or durability of the structure. The criteria of limit state of cracking for three types of pre-stressed concrete members shall be classified as follows. That is, number one, for type 1, no tensile stresses. For type 2, tensile stresses are allowed, but no visible cracking. That means the crack has not initiated, but the tensile stresses will be developed. In type 3, crack will be developed. That means cracking is allowed, but should not affect the appearance or durability of the structure. The acceptable limits of cracking would vary with the type of structure and environment and will vary between wide limits, and the prediction of absolute maximum width is not possible. Okay, so whatever the cracks that has been developed due to the way, whether it may be variation in temperature or whatever the internal variations inside the concrete, okay, so those, okay, will tend to develop the tensile stresses. So those tensile stresses will be reflect on the top or the surface of the member as cracks. Okay, it may be single or it may be multiple cracks. So whatever the cracks that has been developed, so those cracks should be within the permissible limit. So that is what type 3 member. Okay, so there have been one clear note. So let me know what is that note. For design of type 3 member as a guide, the following may be regarded as reasonable limits. The surface width of the crack should not in general exceed 0.1 mm for members exposed to a particularly aggressive environment such as the severe category, and not exceeding 0.2 mm for all other members. So it has clearly given what will be the limit, okay, in the width of the crack, particularly for a type 3 member, because in the type 3 member we are going to come across these crack widths. So hence they have been clearly specified this crack widths. Okay, so then they have been mentioned, that is flexural tensile stresses at any section of the structure, both at transfer and under the most unfavorable condition of design load, shall satisfy the criteria for the corresponding type of a structure. So whatever the, okay, we are going to design the member, so those member, it clearly says that it should satisfy the, okay, the criteria of these things. Okay, so this is the thing they have been given in the, okay, the code book IS 1343 2012. So they have been clearly specified what is type 1, what is type 2, and what is type 3. Okay, so let me know further, okay, if anything is given, okay, in regard to the flexure. Okay, so this is the general design requirements. Okay, so all these things will come across. Okay, the effect of pre-stress, everything, the initial pre-stress, once again will come across, okay, in the today's class, okay, on today's session. So this is regarding the loss of pre-stress, which have already been discussed. Okay, and coming to the reinforcement, I have already been discussed, and once again will be come across in the shear reinforcement also. And regarding these are the things regarding characteristic strength, characteristic loads. Okay, all those things will be same as that in the discussed in IS 456, the same thing. So this is the regarding the limit state of collapse under flexure. So this is the aspect we I'm going to discuss. Okay, so all these assumptions have been discussed in the analysis class. Okay, you can see here. Okay, the parameters, stress block parameters, everything have been discussed. Okay, you can see everything, okay, we have been solved, okay, in regard to the analysis. So this is regarding the IS 1343 2012 code. Okay, so next let me move on to the as usual. Okay, let me move. So now let me go with these things. So after coming to know about type 1, type 2, type 3, so now let me concentrate only on type 1 members, because in your syllabus they have been clearly specified to go ahead with type 1 members. Okay, so let me go ahead with these type 1 members. Okay, so the as I stated, type 1 members means no tensile stresses will be allowed in the concrete, whether it may be transfer or under service load. Okay, so keeping in this mind, let us move on to the design. Okay, so before going to the design, let me discuss the design aspects, because okay, you need to understand what is the meaning of preliminary design and what is the meaning of final design. In that preliminary design, what are the aspects you are going to come across, and in the final design, what are the aspects you are going to come across. So all those things you need to go ahead. Okay, so let me go ahead. For design and service load, the following quantities should be known or known. First is MDL, that is moment due to dead load. Okay, so in this, please keep this in mind. There is a lot of difference between MDL and MSW, that is moment due to dead load and moment due to self weight. Okay, so there is a lot of difference. That's why they have been clearly mentioned moment due to dead load excluding self weight. Okay, neglecting the self weight of the member. So other things, if you consider, so that is called dead load. Okay, so with respect to you're going to calculate moment, that is called moment due to dead load. Okay, so that's why MSW is different and MDL is different. Next, MLL. So as usual, it is moment due to the live load. Okay, and next, the material properties are selected before the design. That means what will be the cross-sectional area, what should be the moment of inertia, what should be the sectional modulus. So all those things are very, very, very important. So those are all the material properties. Okay, and also coming to the grade of concrete. Okay, so what will be the grade of pre-stressing steel. So all these properties you should know, so before going to the design aspects. So next, some more quantities you should know: the member cross section and its geometrical properties. So that's what I've been told: cross sectional area. Okay, and then the moment of inertia. Okay, all those aspects. Next, MSW, that is moment due to self weight. Okay, so this is the different aspects. Okay, you're going to consider. Okay, there is a lot of difference between the moment dead due to dead load and self weight, which you're going to come across. AP, you already know, that is amount of area of pre-stressing steel. So that will be the better word. Okay, quantity or area of pre-stressing steel. Next, PE, you already know, that is effective pre-stress. Effective pre-stress, that means after the losses as encountered in the PSC beam. So what will be the net pre-stress available inside the PSC is called effective pre-stress. Okay. Next, E, eccentricity. Next, so as I stated, so what I'm going to discuss here is preliminary and final design of type 1 members under flexion. So now, what are all the quantities or parameters you are going to come across in the preliminary design? Let us know. So coming to the steps involved in preliminary design are as follows. Number one, select the material properties. So it is a very much essential. We need to properly select the characteristic compressive strength of a concrete and the characteristic tensile strength of a steel, that is pre-stressing steel, that is FPK. Did you get my point? Okay, it is not by FPK. So these two things you should know or select. Next, step number 2, determine the total depth of the beam. So denoted by small letter h. Okay, how the total depth can be based on or can be calculated based on architectural requirement. Okay, that means based on your experience, I can say. Or else the following empirical equation can be assumed. That equation is h is equal to, that is total depth of beam is equal to 0.03 root of m up to 0.04 root of m. So in between these two, you need to select the total depth of the beam. Okay, so already told, h is the depth of the beam, which will be in meter. M is the moment in kilonewton meter, where m is nothing but total moment excluding sulfate. That means the total moment indicates moment due to dead load, that is MDL, plus moment due to live load. Okay, so this is called M. Okay, next, selecting the type of a section. That means whether I need to go for rectangular section, whether I need to go for I section, okay, something like that. So after selecting the proper section, okay, you need to assume the width of the section. Assume the width. How? By a thumb rule called whatever the total depth you have been, okay, calculated, divided by 2 will get you the width of the section. That means the depth will be twice the width of the this thing, width. Okay, the depth will be twice the breadth or width of the section. So that will be the width and depth. Okay, next, coming to the self-weight. So because I have been told, so there is a lot of difference between the dead load and self-weight. So what will be the self-weight? How you are going to calculate it? Estimate the self-weight to be 10 to 20% of the load carried. Okay, so whatever the dead load that will be carried, okay, in that 10 to 20% you consider. So that will be your self-weight. Did you get my point? So for this calculated self-weight, next step is to calculate the moment. Okay, so next, so you calculate the moment MSD and keep it ready. Next, calculate the total moment, that is MT. What is MT? Including self-weight. So now comes the picture. So now total moment includes dead load, live load, self-weight, everything. So that is what the meaning total moment. The moment due to self-weight is known as MSW. Okay, so which will be 10 to 20% of the load carried. Okay, fine. Next. The next step number 6 is estimate the lever arm. Estimate the lever arm. Okay, how? That is 0.65 times the depth of the beam or depth of the section if MSW is large. That is, if MSW is greater than 0.3 MT, that means the ratio of MSW to MT, if it is greater than 0.3, that means MSW is large. Then you go ahead with this formula. If the same MSW is small, that is the ratio of MSW by MT is lesser than or equal to 0.3, then I'm going to use this Z is equal to 0.5H. So this is the way you are going to calculate the lever arm in the section. Next, estimate the effective pre-stress. So already been defined. What is the meaning of effective? Effective pre-stress is nothing but, so after whatever the loss of pre-stress that has been encountered in the PSC beam, so the what is the net pre-stress available in the PSC member or a beam is called effective pre-stress. Effective pre-stress. Okay, so that it can resist or counteract the tensile stresses that will be developing inside the PSC member. Okay, so that is the meaning of effective. Okay, which is denoted by PE. So that is PE is equal to total moment divided by Z. So this is the formula you are going to use if the same thing MSW is large. Next, PE is equal to moment due to imposed load or live divided by Z if MSW is small. Okay, so based upon these two conditions, the effective pre-stress will be calculated. If MSW is small, the design is governed by moment due to imposed load, which is given by MIL is equal to total moment minus MSW. Did you get me? Because TM indicates dead load plus live load moment, and MSD, as I stated, it will be considered separately. So hence, if I am going with MIL, that is moment due to imposed load or live load is equal to moment due to, that is total moment minus moment due to self weight. Is it clear? Next, considering the effective pre-stress, okay, that is FP is equal to 0.7 FPK. So this condition also they have been given in the IS 1343 2012 in the class. Okay, so you can find out this FP is equal to 0.7 FPK. Okay, in the absence of effective pre-stress data, you can go ahead with this formula. That is 0.7, that is 70% of the characteristic, okay, tensile strength of the pre-stressing steel. So that will be FP. So calculating the area of pre-stressing, okay, steel AP is equal to, so already you have been calculated PE divided by FPE will give you the area of the pre-stressing steel. So next, step number 9. Check the area of the cross section. That means whatever the section you have been considered, whether it is the dimensional parameters are safe to go ahead further. So that is what you are going to do in the step number 9. So that is average stress in the concrete at service, that is C by A, which is equal to effective pre-stress divided by the cross-sectional area should not be too high as compared to 50% of the allowable compressive stress, that is FCC allowable. If it is so, increase the area. That means first you need to calculate this, okay, that is A is equal to PE divided by 0.5 FCC allowable. So whether the calculated these things, okay, if it is okay, the condition is okay, okay, that means should not be high, okay, as compared to this, okay, if it is high, then you need to increase the area. That means if it differs, then you need to increase the area of the section to counteract, because that section is not sufficient to take care of this. Did you get my point? So you need to go ahead with increase. So these are all the aspects you are going to do in the case of preliminary design. Did you get my point? Next, going with the final design. Okay, so what exactly is final design? The final design will vary based upon the condition once again. Whether the MSW divided by total moment lesser than or equal to 0.3 or MSW by MT greater than 0.3. So based on these two conditions, okay, the final design will vary. If this condition comes, then it is final design. Otherwise, you can see, okay, you can see here, I have been written. Yeah, if this, the Mars moment is large, that is MSW is larger, this, so then it is a special case. So very rarely you are going to come across this case. If you come across this, then it is a special case we need to go ahead. Okay. So now let me concentrate on this condition. Okay. So this condition, it is moment due to self-weight lesser than or equal to 0.3 MT. So how to proceed? What is the things you are going to do in the final design? Number 1, calculating the eccentricity E to locate the centroid of the pre-stressing steel. Okay, you are calculating the eccentricity E, okay, to locate the centroid of the pre-stressing steel. So for that you are going to calculate. How? So now comes a very important diagram. So please listen to me very cautiously. Now once again the pressure line concept came here. Okay, so let me know. So with increasing load, the compression force or C, okay, moves upward from the location of the tension T at CGS. Okay, at CGS or from CGS, at transfer under the self-weight, C should lie within the Kern zone. So this is the new terminology you people are come across, Kern zone, to avoid tensile stresses at the top. Okay, so this is the condition. So now please look into the figure. So this is the total depth of the beam. Okay, and now see, as I stated, compressive force and the tensile force both are coinciding. Okay, and this is the case as I stated. So because I have been clearly stated, a transfer under self-weight, so a moment due to self-weight. At this particular instant, let me see here the diagram, stress diagram. So now please observe here. Okay, so this will be the central axis of the steel. Okay, and this will be the central axis of the section. So now what happens here, whatever the compressive force which was coinciding with the tensile, that means no flexural effect will be, okay, encountered in the PSC beam at this particular condition. So now when the C will start moving, why it will move? Why it will move? Because as the load increases, the resultant compressive force will tend to shift. So that is what have been written. Okay. With increasing load, the compressive force C moves upward from the location of the tension T at CGS at transfer under self-weight. So it should lie within the kern zone to avoid tensile stresses at the top. Okay. The C should lie within the kern zone. So now comes to the very, very important. What is the meaning of kern zone? So this is what a kern zone. So this is called kern zone. So this is called kern zone. Okay. So what is this kern zone? So the kern zone is a zone where no tensile stresses will be developed. No tensile stresses will be developed is called kern zone. Okay, so that zone is called kern zone. Okay, so completely, okay, the tensile stresses will be counteracted here. So no tensile stresses will be developed. Okay, so next, the lowest permissible location of C due to self-weight is at the bottom kern point. That means the maximum it can shift up to the bottom kern point, that is KB. Okay, that KB will be measured from the distance of centroidal, okay, distance or centroidal axis of the section up to the compressive force has been shifted, that is called KB. Did you get my point? So that is what the lowest permissible location of C due to sulfate is at the bottom kern point at a depth KB below CBC to avoid tensile stresses at the top. To avoid these tensile stresses, so this will be the mechanism that is going to happen. The design procedure based on the extreme location of C gives an economical section. So based on the shift, it will give the economy of the section. The following sketch explains the lowest permissible location of the C due to self-weight moment. Okay, you can see here. Okay, so and also have been highlighted the gross cross-sectional area A, then FB, which is the maximum compressive stress in concrete at bottom edge. Okay, you can see here the maximum compressive stress in concrete at the bottom edge, and the tensile stresses will be zero at the top edge. H, total height of the section, KT and KB, that is distance of upper kern point and lower kern point measured from the centroidal axis of the section up to the resultant compressive force acting. So that is the distance between KB and KB. So what is CT and CB? That is distance of upper and lower edges respectively from the CGC. That means this is what CT and CB. So that is, I can say, the distance from measured from the tensile phase and the distance measured from the compression phase. Next, PO, P suffix O, that is the pre-stress at transfer after initial losses. So that means it is the initial pre-stress you come across after certain initial losses that is going to happen. Usually a shrinkage may take place. Okay, creep, it takes certain time, okay, to undergo, but shrinkage effect will be sometime, it may be immediate effect. Next, the shift of the C due to sulfate given as expression of E is equal to MSWO, that is moment due to sulfate, divided by P suffix O plus KB. So this is the formula you are going to use in order to calculate the eccentricity. Okay. Next, here the magnitude of CRT is equal to P suffix O. The value of PO can be estimated as follows. So now, initial pre-stress, whatever you come across, so how to go ahead with these things or how to calculate? Let me go ahead. First, for pre-tension members, P suffix O, okay, that is pre-stress at transfer after initial losses. Okay, which is equal to 90% of the initial pre-stress. That is P suffix O is equal to 0.9 into PI. Next, for post-tension member, it is equal to PI. That is P suffix O, which is equal to PI. So these are the two formula you're going to come across in order to calculate the initial pre-stress. Okay. Next, the value of PI can be estimated from the amount of pre-stressing steel, okay, determined in the preliminary design. So that is PI is equal to AP into 0.8 divided by, 0.8 FPK. Here the permissible pre-stress in steel is 0.8 FPK, where FPK is the characteristic tensile strength of a steel. Okay. So like this, you need to go ahead with the calculation of P suffix O, PI, E. So all those things you need to calculate. So in the step number one, okay, especially in final design, you are going to calculate all these things. Okay, so hope you have understood. Next, again, whatever the eccentricity you calculated in step number 2, you need to recheck that. That is, recompute the effective pre-stress and the area of the pre-stressing steel. So, whatever the effective pre-stress you have been calculated in the previous step, you need to recalculate that. Okay, so you need to recalculate that effective pre-stress and the area of the pre-stressing steel. Okay, so both these two things you need to recalculate. How? Let me go ahead. Recompute the effective pre-stress PE and the area of pre-stressing steel EAP. How? With increasing load, now see, okay, whatever it was coinciding, okay, now the total moment will be coming into the picture. Okay, now under service load, okay, C should lie within the Kern zone. C should lie within the Kern zone to avoid tensile stress at the bottom. Now, whatever the C that will be acting at this particular junction, so this C, whichever it is acting, okay, will be, okay, 0, okay, it will develop the tensile stress as 0 at the bottom. So that is the advantage you are going to give. The highest permissible location of C due to total load is at the top Kern point. You can see this is the top location. Okay, at a height KT above CGC, at a height KT. So this is KT, okay, above CGC to avoid tensile stress at the bottom. Next, the following sketch explains the highest possible location of C due to total moment MT. So this is, you can see a total moment. Okay, now you can see the C will start shifting, okay, which will be above the neutral axis. Okay, the distance between this compressive force acting and the CGC, that is centroidal gravity of the section or whatever, will be equal to KT. And then, okay, I can say the KB. Okay, the KB is the distance, you can see here, the KB, which is distance of lower Kern point respectively from the CGC. Okay. Next, CTCB are same. Now, exact ulta. Okay, once it will be subjected to service load, the tensile stresses to be developed at the bottom, hence you need to make it to 0. So hence, this will be the stress diagram. And this will be the, okay, the tensile stresses developed at the top. Okay, so as I stated, okay, when you're going to pre-stress everything, the tensile stresses will be developed at the bottom, okay, and sorry, at the top, and compressive force will be developed at the bottom. In the above sketch, FT means the maximum compressive stress in the concrete at the top edge. The shift of C due to the total moment. The shift of C, that means because of the C here, this particular shift is happened due to the moment due to self-weight. Because of this, C has shifted to a distance. Here also the same thing, because of the effect of the total moment, which indicates a dead load and a live load. Because of this application, you can see the C has shifted further to the top, that is above the central axis. Okay, so with the distance KT measured from CGC. Okay, next, you can see, okay, that is what have been written here. Okay, with increasing load, C moves further up under the service load. So that's what I've been told. Under service load, tensile stress is 0 at the bottom. C should lie within the Kern zone. So it should lie within the Kern zone to avoid tensile stresses at the bottom. The highest permissible location of the C due to the total load is at the top Kern point or at height of CGC to avoid tensile stresses. You can see that. The following sketch explains the highest possible location of C due to the total moment. Next, in the above sketch, as I stated, FT maximum compressive stress in the concrete at the top edge. Shift of C, that is shift of C from the old position to the new position due to total moment MT is given by PE, that is effective pre-stress, is equal to total moment MT divided by, okay, E plus K suffix T. So this is the formula to calculate that. Next, considering FPE is equal to 0.7 FPK, the area of pre-stressing steel is recomputed as follows. Okay, so if FP is equal to 0.7 FPK, that is the area of pre-stressing is recomputed as follows. That means you need to recalculate the AP. So whether the calculated cross-sectional area or the area of pre-stressing steel is matching with the assumed cross-sectional area in the step number 1, that is preliminary design. If both matches, need not to worry. If doesn't matches, you need to repeat the iterations. you need to go ahead with the further. Okay, I can say, okay, further, that means trial and error, you need to go ahead. Next, recompute the eccentricity. That's what I've been told. First, the value of PO is updated. Next, with based, because why you need to update? Because the eccentricity consists of P suffix O. You can see here. Because E is depend upon this. If PO is changes, initial press changes, then eccentricity will also change. Hence, you need to update this first. Okay, once you update this, the eccentricity is recomputed with the updated value of PO. That's what I've been told. If the variation E from the previous value is large, another cycle of computation of pre-stressing variables can be undertaken. That means if the variation is very much, then you need to recompute the eccentricity. Next, check the compressive stress in the concrete. The maximum compressive stress in the concrete should be limited to the allowable values. So specifically at transfer, stress at the bottom should be limited to FCC allowable, where FCC allowable is the allowable compressive stress in the concrete at transfer. Allowable compressive stress in the concrete at transfer. So which is available from the figure 8 of IS 1343 2012. You can get it. Okay, you can see it at figure 8. Okay. This is figure 3. Yeah, one sec. Let me go ahead, because in the figure 8 they have been clearly mentioned. It has figure 8. One sec, they have been missed, I think. Figure 8. Yeah. So this is the way they are going to go ahead with the computation of maximum permissible compressive stress in flexure at transfer. So this is the way they are going to calculate. Is it clear? Next, let me go ahead. So now, so as I stated, you have been calculated everything. Next, the maximum, next for the next step, step number 4, is check the compressive strength. That's what I've been did. So that is the maximum compressive stress in concrete should be limited to allowable values. At transfer, the stress at bottom should be limited to FCC allowable, where FCC allowable is the compressive stress in concrete transfer. At service, the stress at the top should be limited to FCC allowable, where FCC is the allowable compressive. Let me see how to do that. At transfer, the stress at the bottom can be calculated from the average stress. That is, you can see FP, what is it? Okay, you can see that minus P suffix O into H divided by A into CT. To satisfy this condition, whatever the calculated FB should be less than FCC allowable, then the area of the section can be rechecked as follows. That is, A should be calculated, should be greater than or equal to this value. Okay, whatever the provided area of the section should be greater than this value. Then only it is okay under transfer condition. Otherwise, we need to revise the section and we need to go with a redo the things. If A is not adequate, that's what. Then the section is to be redesigned. Next, the stress at the top can be calculated from the average stress, that is minus PE by A, that is effective pre-stress by A, that is at service. During transfer, it will be initial pre-stress by A. Next, FB. Okay, so FB already been told what is FB. Okay, you can see here what is the meaning of FB, maximum compressive stress in concrete at the bottom edge. Okay, so let me go ahead. Okay, so FB is equal to minus PE into H divided by A into slight modification. Instead of PO, it will be PE. Instead of CT, it will be CB. So that is the only two changes. Next, coming to the conditions to satisfy this, whatever it will be calculated should be lesser than or equal to FCC allowable. The area of the section will be checked as follows. That is, A is greater than or equal to, okay, PE into H divided by FCC allowable into CB. If A is not adequate, then section need to be reduced. That means this condition should hold good. Then only I can go ahead with the other things. So this is what I can say regarding the preliminary and final design for type 1 members. Hope you understood. So today, or particularly in this session, I've been discussed the step-by-step procedure to calculate the, okay, or with going with the preliminary and final design. Okay, and the main thing you should know here is, Okay, I will repeat what is type 1, what is 2, type 2, and type 3, and what are all the aspects you are going to do in the preliminary design you need to know. Okay, and what are all the assumptions you need to go at, that all the things you should know. Next, going with the conditions, if conditions varies, the final design will divide to two cases. That is MSW lesser than equal to zero point 0.3 total amount will be one case. If MSW or the same MSW is greater than 0.3 MT, then it will be other case. Okay, so coming to this case, okay, as I stated, how to calculate the eccentricity, okay, to locate the center of the, because the location of precessing steel will be depend upon the eccentricity. Did you get my point? Next, because of the effect of due to self-weight, okay, whatever the CNT which was coinciding, it will be shifted to a distance of, okay, KB from the centroidal axis of the section. And as I stated, during a transfer condition, what I can say, this compressive stress will be developed at the bottom and the tensile stress will be developed at the top. That is will be zero. And they have been specified one zone called Kern zone. So this is the KT and KB distance is called Kern zone. So what is the meaning of Kern zone? The Kern zone is a zone where the tensile stresses will be completely eliminated. So that is what Kern zone. Did you get my point? Next, the same thing, recompute the everything and check it. Once again, subjected to total moment. Okay, let me go ahead with the for. Okay, these things. Okay, the conditions and check the shift of the compressor. So these things, the same, it holds good just like your pressure line. So there also how your C line and T line, okay, coincides. The C line and T line coincides when there's a no flexural stresses are developed. When the C line shifts because of, okay, the eccentricity or because of the variation in the tensile stresses, okay, you need to know the distance. Did you get my point? And you can see how to locate the eccentricity E with respect to this CGC. Okay, so this is regarding your okay, the design aspects, whatever have been discussed. So hope you understood. Okay, whatever I've been told. Okay, so please go through the design. Okay, step by step. Okay, once again. Okay, and you will be more thorough because I've been written in the text form. I think may some of you may get confused. Okay, what will be these things? How to go ahead with this recomputation? Simply they have been written recomputation. Consider all those things. So for all these things, you will get an okay, a clarity when you're going to solve the problem. Okay, at that particular instance, step by step, you are going to know how to go ahead with the problem. Is it clear? So this is regarding the design aspects. So we're not going to discuss this special case because majority of the case you will come across this condition only, that is MSW lesser than or equal to 0.3 MT. Okay, so this will be the condition. So for this, I've been okay taught the preliminary and the final design for the type 1 member under flexion. So with this idea, okay, let me go ahead with the design, okay, in the next session. Okay, so hope you have understood what is the meaning of Kern zone, everything. Hope the things are clarified. Okay, you will get more clarification when I'm going to start with the problem. So there, okay, when I'm going to start the problem, the steps, I will explain, okay, the each terminology, how it will vary and how it will function. Is it clear? So with this, okay, I'm going to wind up the session. Okay, thank you and please subscribe and please watch the my video. Thank you for joining.